On this week's episode of I-501C, the podcast for nonprofit board members, I am speaking specifically to you board members out there. And first of all, thank you for your service. Really, volunteering and serving on a nonprofit board is admirable, and it does make a difference in our community and your community. So thank you for doing that, because it is a time commitment and a personal commitment in order to serve. But I've done a number of retreats lately, and this topic always comes up, and that's the role of the board in fundraising. We've discussed this a little bit in the past, but I want to talk a little bit more about it because it just seems to be an ongoing issue. I don't want to raise money. That is not why I got on the board. Fair statement, but it is your obligation to ensure the financial stability of the organization. One way to do that is through fundraising, although I will tell you, it doesn't mean you have to ask for the money, and that's the beauty of being a board member. That's the executive director's job, or it's the job of the vice president of advancement or development or whatever the title is in your specific organization. But there are ways that you can help as a board member, and there are some roles and responsibilities. Hey, I want to jump in real quick. Somebody asked me the other day, what does the Corley Company do? Well, we do three things for nonprofits. One, we facilitate meetings, yes, like board retreats where we discuss governance and strategy with all the members of the board. Number two, advise CEOs and help them as they make decisions and implement actions to drive their mission. And then finally, we produce podcasts such as this one, but also for a number of nonprofits to help you get the word out, get your message out. So if you're interested in any of these services, please feel free to reach out to Michael at thecorleycompany.com. Now back to the podcast. Number one, connect your CEO, your executive director, to your friends, or maybe I should say connect your friends to the organization, ultimately to the CEO, to organizations you may do business with. Make those connections, those introductions, and let the CEO, let the head of philanthropy, of development, speak to those people and engage in discussion about raising money. You do not necessarily have to do that. Or you can make introductions to your financial planner, who makes recommendations to people on how they should make tax-deductible gifts. So there are ways you can do connections outside the norm, outside of what you would normally think, that can benefit the organization. If you have questions on how you can do that, ask your CEO, executive director, what he or she would like you to do. Number two, participate. Participate in events that your organization may have. Wear that badge with pride. Let everybody know that you're a board member. That kind of leads to number one. The more people you know, the more connections you have, the more opportunity you have to connect people to the organization. But also, as you're at events, people will ask you about the organization. And that is a prime opportunity to share what you do, what the opportunities are, and how that individual might be able to support the good that you're doing and the changes that you're making in the community. And then finally, number three, make a financial contribution. If you are on the board of directors of a nonprofit, you should make a personal financial contribution. I tell you, I love having this discussion in board retreats because there's always somebody that says, why should I have to do that? I donate my time. Yes, you do. But as a board member, there's an extra level of responsibility and obligation. That's why you chose to serve. And if you're going to be connecting people to the organization for fundraising purposes, if you are responsible for ensuring the financial viability of the organization, and you are, you should make a personal financial contribution, which would be in addition to any corporate contribution your company, an organization you're associated with may make. Why is that important? Well, for the reasons I just stated, but also a lot of funders will ask, do all of your board members make a financial contribution? And they will ask that in the grant application. They'll ask, do you make a personal financial contribution? And don't put your CEO, your executive director, in that position of having to lie and say, well, yes, they all do, when Michael Corley did it through his company. Well, Michael Corley should make a personal financial contribution. How much? That's really up to you, your organization. Some organizations stipulate a certain amount. You should know that before you become a board member. But most say a meaningful figure. If you're serving on the board, this should be your number one funding obligation, in my opinion. That's why I encourage people not to serve on really more than one board, maybe two max, because it should be your primary focus in philanthropy is that board that you serve on. So there you go. As a board member, really, it's not that difficult. It's one, make connections. You know people, just talk about the organization, and so feel free to introduce them to the CEO or to the head of development. Number two, participate in events, be visible, wear that badge with pride. People are going to talk to you. You're going to be able to redirect them back to the CEO, head of development. And then finally, make a financial contribution yourself. Every year, whatever's meaningful to you, just make a personal financial contribution so that your CEO, your executive director, can mark off when they get the grant request, the grant application says, yes, all of my board members do make a financial contribution. So there you have it. This is Michael Corley, and this week's episode of the I-501C, the podcast for nonprofit board members, and we'll see you next week.